And excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance?
Okay. Hello again. We have kind of an unusual question to look at today. Let's read it twice slowly to begin. And excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? And excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? Now, faster pace. And excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? And excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? Okay. Now, one point right away is that we don't want to focus too much on the name. Margaret Winston, Margaret Winston. Okay, don't worry about the name. You can substitute anything there. John Smith, Jane Goodall, whatever you like. We're going to focus especially, though, on this phrase over here, by any chance. Before doing that, we need to think about the sentence, where it comes from. The background is this comes from a telephone conversation. That's what we learned in the text. It comes from a telephone conversation. And that's why we're asking, is this, rather than are you. We'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, background is from a telephone conversation, and there has been some discussion up here. There's more to the dialogue. And then after a few lines of dialogue, he finishes by saying, and are you so-and-so by chance? Okay? So this phrase, by any chance, is a little bit difficult to work with. One thing is just the pronunciation. Almost looks like this. By any chance. Okay? By any. Almost sounds like by any. By any. Are you, excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? By any. By any. It's actually a diphthong, it's a double vowel. We'll say that for another lesson though. Right now, by any chance. Okay? Now, this by any chance, it almost works like a tag question. And a tag question is the type like, oh, you're Japanese, aren't you? You're not American, are you? When we put a little tag on the end of the sentence. And it's the same feeling in this sentence here. And so that this sentence, is this Margaret Winston by any chance, would be very similar to something like this. This isn't M.W. Margaret Winston, is it? Okay. So this is a very simple kind of tag question here. This isn't Margaret Winston, is it? Okay. Another example, very similar, would be like this. You aren't Margaret Winston. What's the tag? You aren't Margaret Winston, are you? Okay. Now, excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? This isn't Margaret Winston, is it? You aren't Margaret Winston, are you? All three of these have one common point. The speaker has some feeling that, in fact, it is Margaret Winston. Okay, and that's really the most important point. Because we're asking this question, the speaker has a feeling like, I think she is Margaret Winston. And that's how the tag question functions. We have a feeling, we already know the answer. It's like we're checking or confirming what we already think. Okay? Now, what's the difference? This isn't Margaret Winston, is it? You aren't Margaret Winston, are you? It's a feeling of closeness. Okay? Is this Margaret Winston by any chance? It's very much for the telephone, because we're speaking from a distance. Okay? If I'm face-to-face with somebody, she's my customer, I talk to her, and when I finish I say, and excuse me, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? She feels very far away. Okay? So in conversation, face-to-face, I would use something like this. And excuse me, you aren't Margaret Winston, are you? That is how we would use it face-to-face in a conversation. So this one this isn't Margaret Winston, is it? Or this one, is this Margaret Winston by any chance? Are both very appropriate for the telephone, not face-to-face. Okay, so that's everything. Thank you very much.